a touching family reunion. The mother, the son, the daughter, and the sword. There's only one thing missing. It's your blood next. Then I will make this world burn.
The court is an order of powerful beings from the Void, who came to Albion to conquer the land. The court consisted of three powerful entities: the Knight of Blades, the weakest of the three; the Jack of Blades, who is the antagonist of Fable and Fable Lost chapters; and the Queen of Blades, who is the most powerful and the highest of the three. The court hails from a place called the Void, a realm outside of Albion and unknown to men.
They came to the world seeking dominance over its people, demanding that they bow down in obedience. The people refused, and in turn, Albion was burned until the earth was as black as the smoke that filled the sky. Once again, the court demanded total obedience, and again were refused. The result was the raising of the sea into the sky and the flooding of the world. After this next disaster, the court asked for worship again, this time promising peace, but met the same result. Angry at being refused by lesser beings, the court twisted the minds of the people of Albion until the entire land was insane. Finally, after many years of suffering, the people bowed down and the court had won.
As time went by, there came a challenge for one of the denizens of Albion, a man named William Black, who wielded the Sword of Aeons, rose to the highest peak of Albion to fight for the freedom of his people. First to answer the challenge was the Knight, who was quickly slain by Black. Next came the Jack, who proved to be more of a challenge than the Knight. However, the Jack met the same fate as his ally, yet was still able to cheat death by having his essence escape into his mask back in the Void. Finally, Black challenged the Queen of Blades. Their titanic battle was waged for weeks on end, with mountains and valleys forming as the result of their seemingly endless fight. At last, William threw down the Queen, ending the reign of the Court of Albion. In 2019 on Twitter, Dean Carter answered some questions about the court. Knight and Queen have gone forever, was one of the questions, and he said maybe not. As for Jack being killed, he's a multi-dimensional god. I think you overestimate the power of heroes. Banishment from this realm? Sure. Nobody has seen Jack's true form apart from maybe William Black when he was in the Void. And he's not talking about it ever. So there's a chance that many of these beings still haven't fully been slain, but they've definitely been banished from the realm by William Black.
Yeah. So the Shadow Court, the court might be related to the similarly named Shadow Court from Fable 2, especially seeing as there is a Shadow King who is explicitly referred to, which follows the same playing card naming system. So let's go into the individual members. So first up we have the Knight of Blades, and all that we really know is that the Knight of Blades was the weakest one, and he was the first to fall at the hands of William Black. In this fight with William Black, it took place on the peak of Mount Ruin, the highest mountain in Albion. By using the Sword of Aeons, William completely destroyed the Knight.
Yeah, so the next one we'll talk about here is the Queen of Blades, as she has a bit less than the Jack as well. So on the Tales of Albion website, it is stated that the battle took place between the Queen of Blades and William Black, who had already defeated the Jack and the Knight at this point. And it lasted for many weeks and did such incredible damage to the land that it formed mountains and valleys. Eventually, William Black slew her as well and freed the people of Albion. It is interesting to note, actually, that sometimes in TLC, in the Bowerstone South, some girl may say, "I'm the Queen of Blades," so she's still a figure that people remember, and obviously it must have been a very big sort of event for people to still remember it this long later.
So then on to Jack of Blades, arguably the most important of the three, at least in terms of the games. So Jack of Blades is the main antagonist of Fable, Fable Lost Chapters, and obviously Fable Anniversary. According to the Snowspire Oracle, Jack was already ancient by the time humans came into existence, and appeared in the unnamed world from the Void with the court. He used his mask to take over host bodies and thus live forever. Whilst in his humanoid form, he was never seen without the mask, nor his original body ever shown. He is a master of strength, skill, and will.
It was revealed by the Tales of Albion that Jack of Blades came from a place called the Void. It is also revealed that he had come with the Queen of Blades and the Knight of Blades, who together were known as the Court. He and the others demanded that the people of Albion bow down before them, and when the people refused, as we said, the court burned Albion till the earth turned black and the sky was thick with smoke. And when the people refused the second time, they lifted the sea into the sky and flooded the world. And then the third time, when they demanded worship and were still denied, they twisted the minds of all the people until they went insane, which finally forced the inhabitants of Albion to bow down to the court. Later in the future, as we also went over, William Black was consulting a tome. Then Jack transported William from Albion to the Void and tried to enslave him with his ornate sword, which we now know as the Sword of Aeons. However, William actually escaped with the sword from the Void and brought the Sword of Aeons back to Albion with him. And this is what he eventually uses to slay all three members of the court.
Yeah, so their second meeting then consisted of yet another battle. William Black managed to break Jack's body, destroying his form for a time. However, Jack's soul was believed to have escaped and possibly took refuge in his mask. In his human form, Jack of Blades is a tall, lean man with an average build. His attire consists of a hooded robe which is crimson in colour and covers his shoulders and upper torso. It is fastened by a golden hexagonal brooch encrusted with 5 red gems, the 5th larger than the others. The robe also covers both of his arms except for hands covered with grey gauntlets. The rest of his body, chest, legs and feet are protected by pewter grey armour adorned with small spiked protrusions. His most noticeable features would be his masks. On his face, Jack wears a white mask with red and gold decals. On his stomach, 2 more masks are situated. The second mask is broad and appears angry, with red and purple coloration around the left side of the eye. The third mask is narrower, featuring red stripes around the eye. Jack himself sports blazing red eyes and grey hair.
In his final form, Jack is a colossal dragon with his entire body covered in darkish brown scales. His back is covered in black scales and features red and black fins along this aspect. Jack's eyes are now completely red, whilst 2 V-shaped horns protrude backwards, as well as 2 larger black horns that curve slightly upwards. Jack's mouth is full of razor-sharp teeth that remain visible even when his mouth is closed. His wings are vast and titanic. The insides are slightly tattered and a dark crimson colour with stocky grey vein-like lines. The outside of the wings are covered in a striped red and black shell-like armour with black spikes curving backwards, whilst the insides of the wings have some of the shell-like armour situated in that extend out of the range of the torn area of the wings. Jack also has 4 legs, with the front legs being smaller than his back legs, and having prolonged grey toenails, and his fingernails being shorter but still extensive, white in colour and take a diamond-like shape, but the top part is longer than the rest. So he's basically a gigantic dragon at this point. And this is what is sort of implied to be, I guess, his true form in this world, but I think we've never seen his true form in the Void.
Yeah, I'm not even sure when that it is the true form in this world. I think it's the form that he had chosen to try and burn, obviously, Albion to the ground.
Yeah.
More on that another time. So after the last fight in the doubles round of the arena, Jack of Blades announced to the crowd that he is back, and that the arena was a perfect place to reintroduce himself to Albion after spending an eternity away from them all. He then tells the hero of Oakvale to fight Whisper. If you kill Whisper, Jack will give the hero an extra 10,000 gold. Jack confronts the hero as he is staring up at a statue of his mother in the Hall of Heroes after the fact. Jack then tells the hero that he knows where his mother is and gives some other information before then departing.
The next time the hero encounters Jack is when he tries to break Scarlet Robe out of Bargate Prison, though he stops the hero and imprisons him for 1 year. The hero meets him again when he hears of his plan to take over Albion. Despite all efforts, the hero fails to prevent him from activating all of the focus sites, and the hero eventually has to fight Jack after he has killed Scarlet Robe, in which he implies to not only have killed his mother, but also his father. When the hero defeats him, he makes the decision to either kill his sister, Teresa, and keep the Sword of Aeons for himself, or spare Teresa and throw the sword into the black abyss from which it was summoned. In Fable, the hero is then given his mask as a trophy, though in Fable The Lost Chapters, it is actually made a quest item.
And also, there is still, I believe, a glitch where you can keep the Sword of Aeons without having to kill your sister. But that's a whole other story. So after Jack's defeat in the humanoid form, Briar Rose then informs the hero and the guildmaster that the demon door outside the guild has awoken after centuries being dormant. Using the mask to satisfy the demon door and thus enter it, he discovers the prophets of Fireheart. Later, Jack takes the form of a dragon, and after defeating him once more, the hero will have the option of either throwing the mask into the lava and ridding the world of Jack forever, or will eventually give in to temptation and put on the mask himself and then become Jack of Blades. Upon donning the mask, Jack takes over his body before raising his arms triumphantly and declaring in Jack's voice, "I told you I could not be killed so easily, hero," before laughing maniacally. If you chose to wear the mask and do not skip the credits, then afterward you appear outside of the Archon's Folly with horns, wearing Jack of Blades' mask.
In the ebook Fable, Jack of Blades, it first appears that Jack is ruling over the people of Oddwood, aided by his bandit allies to keep order. However, at the end, Jack is revealed to be a bandit by the name of Fred. It is rumored that Zero, I think is how you'd pronounce that, the hero of the story is actually Jack of Blades in disguise, who is trying to, kill the person who's pretending to use his name.
Was he wearing a mask over his mask to be in disguise?
Like double mask.
Yeah. So before we get into some of our own sort of thoughts and theories, there's a bunch of like trivia that we can sort of go through here that might be of interest to some of you guys. So the first thing is Jack of Blades' doll can be acquired by completing the Hero Dolls Bronze Quest, which is awarded to you by Mr. Gow in exchange for the other 7 Hero Dolls, excluding the doll of yourself.
That quest is such a pain to complete, by the way.
It's a classic fetch quest.
You have to do all these like bar games, I guess.
Yeah.
And some of them are really, really easy, and some of them you can cheat by using like the slow time will ability. But some of them you have to play like properly, and it can be pretty painful.
I must have played through Fable Lost Chapters like 100 times, and I've probably never done that quest.
I did it on my last playthrough just to have done it at least once, and it was not enjoyable in the slightest.
Alright, I'll carry on not doing it then. So there's also a book vaguely describing Jack's background, which can be found in Maze's quarters. And then when married to a woman, they can occasionally sing this kind of joy even Jack can't destroy.
So Lady Elvira Grey's diary states that she had been inspired to become the mayor of Bowerstone by a masked messenger, which is assumed to be Jack, and there's more on that in our Lady Grey video that should already be out.
Yep. So Jack's voice is different in Fable The Lost Chapters than it was in the original Fable. The expansion made his voice noticeably deeper. So it's not different due to a new voice recording or actor, but they just took the same voice recordings and used an audio editor to sort of bring it down to a lower pitch. Look, personally, it's just a personal preference. I actually really liked the original sort of more higher pitched Jack of Blades voice. It was really sinister. Although I think that like if they had done that and then in the Lost Chapters part then brought it down to that lower pitch, it would kind of make sense because it's like a disembodied Jack now. Or swapped it around, so a deep voice and then a high. Anyway, I think sometimes the high pitch can be much more menacing than the deep voice, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Do you remember the original voice, by the way? Did you ever play the original? I don't think you did.
I have it, but I've mostly just played through Anniversary these days. But I have heard the original voice, obviously, and I think it's a little bit. It's definitely a little bit more menacing because it's more sort of believable, I guess. There are some scenes with the more deepened voice where it's a little bit too. I guess unnatural, but I guess that makes sense. He's, a creature of the void rather than a person, so who knows what his
the higher pitch is more unnatural.
But the higher pitch one sounds more like a bit more scary, I guess. Whereas the deeper one is a bit more just like okay, it's there, a bit more generic, I guess. But anyways, so the Jack of Blades lower robe from Fable Anniversary's villain outfit and weapon pack DLC makes a mention of his voice change. After careful review of past Jack of Blades paintings, it became clear that the reason for his voice change in recent times was due to more room being created in the crotch area, and thus we are excited to announce those same improvements to our clothing range as well. So I guess the reason why his voice was so high pitched was because his armor really rode up in the crotch a little bit.
Just like Spider-Man's outfit.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a sundial in the picnic area that was built to commemorate Jack's victory in the Battle of Bloody Harvest. It is assumed that this is obviously referring to Jack of Blades. I mean, obviously. Also in Fable and Fable Lost Chapters, when in a pub playing cards, the Jack bears a resemblance to Jack of Blades.
Yep. Jack was once seen as a hero to the people of Albion rather than as a villain, as many citizens still celebrate his actions, but obviously he has his own agenda, so he's not really a hero or a villain at this point either.
Yep, so after then fighting Jack in his final form, if the hero has both his mask and the Sword of Aeons, his journal will say something similar to how pathetic of this little hero to keep a journal while now he is dead and Jack of Blades lives. Nothing in Albion can stop me now.
God. So it's actually confirmed Jack has silver hair, as revealed in the teaser trailer for Fable Anniversary, where it briefly shows Jack putting on his hood, which is quite interesting. I didn't even know that until now. But yeah, apparently Jack has silver hair underneath his hood.
Yeah. So some role-playing children, I believe, in Bowerstone South near the school, may pretend to be Jack of Blades. Can also be heard saying, "Is it true Jack of Blades eats little children who've been naughty?" And yes, it definitely is. Kids go and do drugs and go to school.
So the book, The End Is Almost Nigh, mentions Jack's dragon form, and the author is unsure if Jack will succeed in destroying the world before his final prophecy.
Yeah, you know what's really interesting is I think you can get this book long before, like the end of the game. So, like, there's a little kind of Easter egg sort of foreshadowing for you within the game, which is always a good storytelling technique.
Yeah, really.
And then finally, the Fairfax Gardens, well, not quite finally, sorry. The Fairfax Gardens Demon Door claims that Jack of Blades tried to open him and continues to say that it was before his dragon phase, though it would not have made a difference. So that's in Fairfax's, and I believe, Fable 2.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough. I was trying to remember where that was. So there's also the Jacko Blades, which is an alcoholic beverage, which was once served with razor blades. Tavern patrons will order it on occasion. And the drink can also be...
And it'd be the last drink they ever order, Jesus.
100%.
There is also a Cult of Blades tattoo design, which was worn by members of the Cult of Blades who dedicated themselves to the worship of Jack of Blades, believing that he would one day return. Yep.
Which was true. The description of the legendary weapon Jack's Hammer claims that Jack of Blades used this hammer to activate the focus sites scattered all over Albion. However, during this event, Jack was seen wielding a Master Cleaver, so... though this may be a reference to the Septimal Key, which was used to open focus sites and sort of resembled a hammer. So, who knows? I guess some lore there that could be sort of explored upon at some point.
Yeah. There's a gravestone in Morningwood which reads, "Here lies the brother of the notorious Jack, Fred of Blades," which would be definitely from that story, Fable Jack of Blades, by Peter David, which I actually did read, and it was actually a really good book, and it's quite a nice little Easter egg and ties in the lore together.
Yep. So during the quest, the pen is mightier. Samuel, the librarian, sends the hero to recover the rare book, The Pangs of Sunset, by Iona Pureheart. When the hero returns with it, Samuel makes a comment about an even rarer book of the same authors involving Jack of Blades and Lucian. Unbeknownst to Samuel at the time, Iona Pureheart actually wrote erotic historical fan fiction. So I guess there's a hot gay fan fiction involving Jack of Blades and Lucian, which is really I'd love to have a copy.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So Jack is also one of two playable characters in the Xbox Live Arcade title Fable Heroes that uses both a ranged and melee attacks. He wields a Sword of Aeons in combination with a fireball spell gauntlet.
Yep, so I guess just sort of to summarize before we get into our own speculation. So obviously, as an ancient evil, Jack of Blades once ruled over Albion as part of the court before his defeat at the hands of William Black. However, Black was only able to destroy Jack's physical form, and his spirit lived on in his mask. He continued his reign of terror by possessing any being unfortunate enough to put it on. And Jack was not truly vanquished until the hero of Oakvale destroyed the mask at the Bronze Gate, which is obviously sort of a choice. So we actually don't know 100% that this even happened. So while this doll does appear to be wearing the mask, it is probably safe to assume Jack has not returned as a tiny puppet ready to enslave Albion with acts of unspeakable computers.
Yeah, I mean, could be. Also in Fable The Journey, which I readily admit I never really played, but I did buy for you back on Connect days, Teresa reveals to Gabriel that Jack of Blades is responsible for her being blind as well as the murder of her family. She adds that Jack's actions are what provoked her to find a way for the spire to be rebuilt.
Yeah, which is again pretty interesting. I think there's a lot of lore for Jack of Blades to cover. There's so many different sort of references to him that we definitely couldn't cover them all in one video. But 100%, like he's a very, very prolific character, and I hope that there's some more info about him in the hopeful new Fable 4 that should hopefully be coming soon. So let's get into our speculation before we end off the video.
Yep, so I guess first up, I think it's relatively fair to assume that this is a bit of an allegory of the Holy Trinity in Christian faith. The court, I mean, so you've got the 3 in 1. I've got a theory that actually it's the same being, ultimately, in different guises, I guess, or in this kind of Trinity relationship. I mean, or at least it is post-William Black, battle, because Jack having all 3 masks that you can actually see on him, like he's wearing one, he's got the other 2 hanging, I think, from his chest. It must be their masks as well, right? Like it must be the souls of the Queen and the Knight of Blades as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would make a lot of sense that, if Jack is the only one that's like explicitly said to have been able to return to his mask, like his essence survived being destroyed and returned to his mask in the void, why wouldn't the same be true for the rest of the court? And if that is the case, perhaps it is one being that just, it's like a being of many faces. There's a lot of like mythological characters that do this, like demons and other creatures that just have different masks basically and swap between their different personas. So perhaps, it's just a void creature that swapped between each mask when it comes back from the void. So at this time it's Jack, but it could very well go back to the void and swap to, the Knight, for example, and have the abilities of the Knight or the abilities of the Queen. So yeah, who knows? It could just be a void creature that swaps between them, and those are the 3 like faces of the void. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's also, I guess, a further aspect to this, which is that, is there a point in the rest of the series, or even the first game, for example, where the Queen, there's a representation in the world, I guess, of the Queen of Blades and the Knight of Blades? Like, okay, so for example, could Lady Grey kind of be a bit of an embodiment or a descendant of the Queen of Blades, maybe?
Yeah, it's definitely possible, especially due to Jack's obvious sort of appearance, where he sort of prompted her to end up doing some of the dark things she did in her past, which we got into in her video anyways, so I won't cover it here, but it's definitely a chance. And for all we know, the hero himself or somebody else could be the embodiment of the Knight of Blades. Like, who knows, that could be any number of characters, I suppose. Yeah,
or even in Fable 2, that Lucian could be, a reincarnation of Jack of Blades, even, to be honest.
Yeah.
So on that, I mean, there's a theory out there, it's not a very popular one, but it's there nonetheless, that perhaps William Black at one point did wear Jack of Blades masks. I mean, we know he already gave his soul to the Sword of Aeon, so why not, at some point, why not try wearing the mask?
Yeah, I mean, it is technically a way to immortality. It's not the best way, but it is technically a way, because
the easiest.
Jack is pretty much eternal. All you have to do is put on the mask and you become one aspect of Jack. So even if your body dies and somebody else puts on the mask, you sort of live on through that. So I'm not sure. I probably think he didn't, but there's definitely there's no reason to assume he 100% didn't. Like, there's definitely any number of reasons why he might have. So
yes, there's a chance that the name of Jack of Blades, for example, could also be a reference to the phrase Jack of Trades, because he's obviously a master of his combat skill and will. So is there a chance that he also could be considered to be Jack of all trades, master of none, which is why he's not the most powerful of the court? But the fact that he's the one, so maybe the Queen, for example, is the most powerful in one way and the Knight was more powerful in another way, whereas Jack is I guess good in all of the ways, if not the best in all of the ways, which means that he's the one that will survive because he has a good amount of all 3. So
he could
the Knight would be the top in combat, whereas the Queen would be top in will, for example. Whereas Jack's got it all.
Whereas they probably think Jack is supposed to be the master of skill, but perhaps he is a master of all 3, or at least good at all 3. So, maybe secretly he is the strongest of the 3 in the court, but they don't. The other 2 may not know that, and obviously nobody else knew that at the time. But that makes it so that he's the closest to an immortal one of the 3. Like, maybe the other 2 are actually dead, and he just keeps their masks as a memento. Like it's sort of assumed. Who knows? There's so many different ways this could go, and I think there's literally borderline nothing that we know about the Void itself. very, very few bits of information on that, so we really don't know. But I think there's so many good theories that could come out of this. I really like Jack as a villain. I think the whole idea of the court is just a really, really cool concept. So I'd love to see more sort of revealed to us eventually in hopefully another Fable game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I think that's it for Jack of Blades and the Court for now. Let us know what you think in the comments, as usual, and we'll see you in the next Fable lore video.
Yep, thank you for watching, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
I told you!